Good day, everybody. How are you all doing? Hope you're doing great today. Hope your day is doing great, going good. And today we are ready to discuss something about observational studies and experimental studies in data science, aka statistics. So, for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this is Dr. Nandi. I lecture on all kinds of topics on statistics and maths. I have a channel, YouTube channel. Please subscribe to my channel by hitting the red subscribe button at the bottom right corner. And please also at the same time hit the notify button, because almost every day I'm lecturing on new topics in statistics, in maths, etc. So again, this is Dr. Nandi, and today we are going to work out some sample problems on studies in statistics, like experimental study, observational study, etc. So we are going to work out some problems or some situations. So the first one, I will write on the board, pose the questions, and answer the questions. Okay. Researchers report that it is not only how many hours children spend in front of TV, but at what age they watch. Not only how many hours, but what is their age when they start watching TV. They watch matters. This is WATCH, matters. In a national survey, parents of 2,707 children were interviewed. First, when the children were between 30 to 33 months, and then again when they were 5.5 years old. When they were 5.5 years old. About TV viewings. About TV viewing and their behavior. So let me read the problem statement again of the situation. Researchers report that it is not only how many hours children spend in front of TV, comma, but at what age they watch matters. In a national survey, parents of 2,707 children were interviewed first when the children were between 30 and 33 months old, and then again when they were 5.5 years old about TV viewing and their behavior. So the parents were interviewed twice. Once when the children were between 30 and 33 months old, and another time when the children were 5.5 years old. So the first question asks, is this an observational study? Or an experimental study? Remember, in observational study, we do not control any of the variables or any of the factors that may affect the results. We just observe. And in an experimental study, we are generally interested what is the effect of an explanatory variable on a response variable. Effect of explanatory variable on a response variable. In the studies, the parents of the children were just interviewed. They were observed. Okay, no experiment was performed. So the answer is observational study. Because only observation was made, no factors in the viewing habits of the children were controlled. The parents were just interviewed regarding the viewing habits of the children at age 32, 33 months old, and then again at 5.5 years old. Okay, so this is the first part. This is an observational study because no factor was controlled. It is not an experimental study. Okay. Part B. We know from the study sample of 2,707 parents of children were used in this study. Question is, what information about the sample would you want to know in order to generalize the results to the population of parents of young children? That is, what information about the sample would you want to know in order to generalize the results to the population? Remember, a sample survey was done on a sample of parents of 2,707 children. So the question asks, what information do we need to know about the sample in order to generalize it to the population? And the answer is, need to know whether the sample selected for the study is a simple random sample. Just to remind you, only if the sample is a simple random sample, then only we can generalize the results from the sample to the population. Because simple random sample, in a simple random sample of say size 2707, every sample of that size from the population has an equal chance of getting selected. Simple random sample, that means every sample of sample size n equal to 2707 has an equal chance of getting selected. That's a simple random sample. And the reason is, then it will represent the population, every characteristic of the population. Okay, so we need to know whether the sample is a simple random sample. If it is a simple random sample, then we can generalize the results from the study to the population, otherwise no. Okay, so this is one problem, one situation that you worked on. Let's go to the other side of the board and work on another situation. Okay, the second situation we are interested in. Ongoing debate over whether newer resin fillings are a better alternative to the more traditional silver amalgam, that means the composite of silver with other material fillings which contain mercury, poisonous, So, ongoing debate going over whether newer resin fillings are better than to the more traditional silver amalgam filling. Amalgam means a composite of silver. Okay, but it is mixed with mercury, which is poisonous in teeth, in human teeth. Okay, so research used research study testing the two teeth fillings. One is the resin filling, newer, and the other is the silver amalgam. Two fillings. Okay. Used sheep as subjects. Used sheep as subjects and reported that sheep tasted with amalgam. There is a silver amalgam fillings. Remember, amalgam is a composite of silver and other metals. Mercury is there. Fillings developed kidney problems, most probably coming from mercury. Kidney problems. Okay. So, in the experiment, a control group of sheep received no fillings, that control group of sheep that received no fillings was used, but there was no placebo groups. Remember a placebo? A placebo is a sugar pill. It is sometimes used as a control. It looks like the actual pill in taste and in color, but it does not contain the actual medicine. In this experiment, two groups of sheep, one received the resin fillings, other received the silver amalgam filling, and there was a control group that received no filling, but there was no placebo. No placebo used. Question A, why? Why no placebo is used? So, the answer is a placebo group. Again, placebo is a sugar pill. Would be necessary would be necessary if the mere thought of having amalgam amalgam filling would produce kidney disease. Would produce kidney disease. Kidney disease. However, in this case, the experimental subjects were sheep. So we didn't check into their feelings. Were sheep. So SH. Okay. Not human beings who can think. At least we can measure their thought. Not human. This is H. Human beings. Okay. So there was no placebo used. Part B. What would be the benefit? What would be the benefit of also using a resin filling test group? Filling test group. And the answer for that is a resin filling group would be necessary. Necessary in order to provide evidence that it is the material of the amount, that it is the material of the amalgam filling. Remember, amalgam is the composite material of silver and other metals including mercury. Amalgam filling that causes kidney disease. So that's why we need the resin filling group, so that we can compare between the resin filling group and the amalgam filling group. It is the material of the amalgam filling group that causes kidney disease. Remember, the mercury, bad player, that causes kidney disease. Therefore, we need to have an amalgam filling group as well as a resin filling group to compare, that causes kidney disease. It's the mercury in the amalgam. Part C. Why in this study sheep was used instead of, or sheep was used instead of human beings instead of human beings. That is, why did they study on animals, not on human beings? Okay. Sheep were used because of medical problem, kidney disease, because of medical issues, in this case, kidney disease associated with silver amalgam. In other words, lives of sheep are less valuable. That's what it boils down to. Associated with amalgam fillings. So if we had used human beings as subjects with amalgam fillings, then one group with amalgam fillings would develop kidney disease in the long run, which we do not want. Therefore, sheep was used. So let me read through this problem. There is ongoing debate going over whether newer resin fillings are a better alternative to the more traditional silver amalgam fillings, which contain mercury, which is poisonous. Silver amalgam is a composite of silver and other metals, including mercury. Mercury is a metal, okay, and it is poisonous in teeth. Previously, they used to use silver amalgam. A research study testing the two fillings used sheep as subjects and reported that sheep tested with amalgam fillings developed kidney problems. In the experiment, a control group of sheep that received no fillings was used, but there was no placebo used. Question: why? Why no placebo? Why no placebo was used? No placebo was used. That is the first question. Answer: a placebo group would be necessary if the mere thought of having amalgam fillings would produce kidney disease. Remember, a placebo is a sugar pill, and when they test a new drug, they divide or they assign participants randomly into two groups. Participants are assigned randomly, and then one group gets the actual test drug, the other group gets a control, which is a placebo, which is a sugar filling. Sugar-filled capsule or tablet that looks exactly like the actual drug but does not contain any active ingredients. It contains sugar only. Okay, so it is used because the mere thought of placebo in some cases influence people's thinking that they are cured. Okay. However, the experimental subjects were sheep, not human beings. Hence, a placebo was not used. What would be the benefit of using a resin filling test group? There are two test groups. One is a resin filling group, the other was silver amalgam filling. Okay, answer: a resin filling group would be necessary in order to provide evidence that it is the material of the amalgam filling group that causes kidney disease. So you can compare kidney disease in the amalgam group with very little kidney disease in the newer resin filling group. Why in this study sheep was used instead of human beings? Remember, there are two groups. One is the resin filling groups, other is the traditional silver amalgam teeth filling. We use sheep because in the group which received the silver amalgam filling, they will generally develop kidney disease. Sheep were used because of medical issues, kidney disease associated with silver amalgam filling. You do not want people, if you had used people in that group which use silver amalgam, in the long run they will develop kidney disease and they may die. So you do not want to do that. That's why you used animals. Okay, so this is another situation, another problem. Here we found out what is the meaning of the word placebo. Why do we need a control group? Okay, control group would be the group. See, in the experiment, a control group of sheep that received no filling. So one group received the amalgam, original amalgam resin treatment or filling. The other group got the newer resin amalgam, silver with mercury. The other one is resin filling, and the third one was control, which received no filling at all. So three groups. And we used human being because we did not use human being, we used sheep because people, or if we had used human beings, the group that received the silver amalgam filling would most likely develop kidney disease in the long run, which may damage their kidney and they may die in the long run. We do not want that. And we compared the two groups, the resin filling group with the silver amalgam group, to see which group is better. Most likely the newer resin filling group, the sheep in that group will not develop kidney disease in the long run. Okay, so that is it. I will stop here today. I really thank you for staying with me and watching this presentation. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you like this video, share with your friends. You and your friends, please subscribe to my channel by hitting the red subscribe button at the bottom right corner, and at the same time please click on the bell button, which will notify you every time I upload a new video, which I do almost every day. Again, thank you very much for watching my entire video. I appreciate that. Thanks, and I will see you again maybe tomorrow. Please do not forget to check my channel. Thanks. Bye. Take care.